Leaves are falling all around. Time I was on my way. Welcome into the Creed of Crypto live stream. My name is Boi Crypto. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host Crypto Ewok. We have fall, autumn sure is coming here in the United States very shortly. I think we're only like 3 days away. Take a break with Jake producing the show here. Could probably let me know of the exact date there. I think it's maybe the 21st here. It's coming up. We had the Blood Harvest Moon. I feel like a lot of different new words keep getting added into these things. The Blood Harvest Death, the Death Knell Moon. I don't know. There's a lot of new things being added in, but the Satan Moon came in last night. So welcome in, everybody. We got Optimality here, DJ and Moonboy, and a whole lot of people pouring in as well. Do us a favor, smack the like. We appreciate you guys being here to support Real DeFi, support the channel. We do this every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and talk the world of PulseChain, the world of DeFi, the world of crypto in general, and how major things in the market do impact it. So I appreciate all of you guys being here. Welcome on in. Hit us up in the chat and answer the poll question tonight. We're going to talk about this in detail, of course, but the FOMC meeting, of course, was today, and the Fed with a ballsy move. I'm not really sure what to call it exactly, but sure is it's a move. I'll tell you that. Did the Fed do the right thing by cutting interest rates by 50 points today? Yes or no, quite simply. And we're pretty much at 50-50 so far. Maybe you have no idea. A lot of people seem like they know the answer to this when they really don't, or just fawning at the mouth on Twitter about it and stuff like that. So we'll get into it tonight. Yeah, lunar eclipse. Very good, Jake. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you for the heads up there. Checks my pulse. Welcome in as well. Ewok, how are you tonight? Did the full moon get you last night? Did you become a werewolf? What effects did it have on you?
Well, I think my beard grew a little bit extra last night, so I don't know. Maybe I did become a werewolf in my sleep or something, but
I had my period.
Well, there you go. Things must be pretty slow in crypto when we're talking astrology crap and all that good stuff. So,
right.
No, I'm good. It's been an interesting day watching a lot of the input and opinions of people from all over the space. I do like to listen to as many people as I can talking about it because everybody's opinion is going to be a little bit different. It's good, it's bad, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Just gives you a little bit more to think about, and kind of form your own opinion, I guess, from there. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a good day.
Yeah, it has a lot of interesting stuff going on, and the stuff that the Fed did today is sure to affect the market, not only for the rest of this bull cycle, well, not the rest of this year, but the rest of the bull market and years to come. So we're going to get into that and a lot more as well here. So let's start off with where we are with Bitcoin and ETH right now. So we've got some pumpage right after the news of the 50-point rate cut, which traditionally is a bearish thing. We'll talk about why the prices may be where they are right now, but we have Bitcoin back up over 60K. It's kind of been hovering around that area here for a few days now. ETH is still terrible against it. It's at 2350 roughly, but it did move up a little bit on this move, despite Vitalik singing on whatever weird stage he was on the other day I saw. So that's where they are. We'll get the PulseChain, of course, and the pumpage we're seeing there in just a moment. So that is definitely nice looking. But in terms of this, now, again, we know because of the rate cuts, we're having some weird volatility today. We knew that this would be a volatile day with the numbers and everything. But with you, there's it's hard to really talk about this and where the prices are right now without mentioning the FOMC stuff. So we'll kind of weave that in here as well. Bitcoin was pretty strong last week. And, I already kind of had this in my head about, well, September, I think it's green still on the monthly right now. So, I mean, will September actually be a green good month because everybody in their, step grandma is expecting it to be a red month, or just because things traditionally do go opposite of the way that the masses think. But we're still looking good right now. I don't know how we're going to look in the short term with this rate cut, though. I don't know if we're going to start seeing some of the markets tanking. I did see the S&P 500 finish slightly down today. Well, crypto has been pumping off the move. So what do you think here, Ewok, with what we're seeing between ETH and Bitcoin? ETH, of course, I think its ratio right now is worse than it's been since we've talked about it this entire year. I think it's at 0.38 or something right now. So real bad. But yeah, what do you make of where we're at right now?
Yeah, no, I just pulled up the monthly chart. We are still green. But yeah, I mean, so I think the reason why we're getting a little bit of pump for Bitcoin is because people had priced in the 25 points and I don't think, why is this not getting any bigger? Anyway,
Yeah, deck screener is weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just being a little strange. I went from the monthly back to the daily, and it got a little wacky on me here. So, yeah, I don't know what happened. Either way, yeah, I think it was priced in at 25 points, and that's why I saw a little bit of green movement because initially people do take it in a bullish sentiment because money becomes a little bit easier to borrow. So there's more money out there. People have a little bit more to put into some riskier assets with a little bit less interest. However, as we've talked before, long term, this could definitely pull the markets down as it kind of evens itself out. Historically, it does that. Again, we'll get into that later. The S&P 500 did end up down, but only on 0.29%. So, I mean,
Barely.
it's barely down, so there was a little bit of blowback from that. But yeah, as you said here, let's pull up the ratio and see where we're at in ETH. Oh, oops. No, we want the ETH in Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, we're touching this downtrend level yet again. It keeps bouncing off of that. But yeah, we're at just under 0.04 at 0.0387. So yeah, more downtrend. It could be because of Vitalik singing and dancing on stage and making a fool of himself. The more of those I see, the more people that come out. It's weird, you see those comments that ETH is done for. It's just strange. I don't know why or if they've heard anything other than the fact that they have been selling a little bit. And it's weird because they usually make the top. When they sell, they make the top. This is in a weird situation for them to be selling. So just kind of odd all around. Another thing that I was looking into was the where is it at? I think I pulled up one of the charts of it. It was a visualization of the volume of the Bitcoin ETFs and how there's about 2.5 on average, 2.5 billion dollars in volume in a day for these things. Now, I don't know how much of that is buys. I don't know how much is sells. But to see this Bitcoin price doing this and just kind of hovering with that much volume, I've heard a couple other people talking about it as well. And, Coinbase is the custodian for the ETF for the big ones anyway. And there's a lot of speculation that they're possibly selling these as derivatives, IOUs, whatever it may be. They're not selling actual Bitcoin. There's no possible way that they are because of the price. And it makes a lot of sense, right? You got $2.5 billion of volume coming in almost daily. And it's just sitting here like this. It's just something's not adding up. So, just something to keep in mind for people that do use Coinbase to buy and sell their cryptos. I definitely wouldn't hold it on there any longer than you have to, because if they are selling derivatives, and if there is, especially right now in the cycle, when we do expect things to go all next year in an upward trajectory, if there's a bank run and they don't have it, it's going to create some nasty blowback. And I just hope it's not true, but it's hard to not think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, talking about like ETH in relation to Bitcoin as well, and we're going to get into the FOMC thing, but I think with all these things kind of coalescing right now, we may see Bitcoin start to downtrend a little bit in the short term. Maybe it does have, I don't know about a red September, but maybe just like you're seeing right now, stay stagnant and not really go anywhere. And I think we might see ETH start to catch up with it finally here, because, you know, the timing is just right. It's been so long now. ETH bled so badly in August. I mean, like everything did, but ETH, that's when it really got the nail in the coffin, kind of, in relation to BTC. I mean, that August 4th or 5th weekend or whatever, when everything just tanked. So I think that we're going to, even if ETH kind of just stays where it is and maybe Bitcoin dips, so just by proxy, ETH starts to gain on a little bit, I think that is what we're going to see start happening. And of course, with these rate cuts, I mean, one thing that is traditionally a byproduct of it, of course, like you said, is people go and want to spend money again. You are going to see people get into like a risk on environment and stuff like that. And traditionally, that's where you would see ETH, you know, obviously like different, more aggressive areas of the stock market, but also ETH, crypto in general, you know, money start to flow back in there and the money printer come back on here, of course. So I think that's something we could see here in the short term. So yeah. And I hope.
Yeah, I agree. I think ETH will definitely, you know, have a pullback here, especially like I said, that was kind of where I was headed with that, and I guess I didn't finish my thought. But you know, Bitcoin not doing a whole lot with the amount of volume that's coming in. I do think we start to see Ethereum definitely catch up here a little bit. So that's where I was. That's where I was headed with that thought, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I stole your thunder a little bit there. So
all right, you can have it.
The blood death moon got you. Okay, so that's where we are at the moment with BTC and ETH. Let's look at PulseChain, because we have seen some major pumpage here over the course of the last week. Now, you may look at the charts today and see that the rate cut occurred and we're seeing the PulseChain prices pumping and stuff. That is true, but it was already pumping kind of earlier this week leading into this. We talked at length, I think it was on last week's show or over the course of the last 2 weeks, about this uber bearish sentiment. It was whatever episode that we titled, like, will crypto prices match the sentiment or whatever, something like that in the title. And we are basically highlighting how sentiment has just been absolutely atrocious. I was talking specifically about the comments right here on our channel from a lot of different people and stuff like that. Sentiment had just seemed way, way, way too irrationally horrible for where we were price-wise. It just didn't make sense for the amount of time that we were spending at those prices. So sure enough, the week after that, we start to see a pump, which, you know, not to confirm that a bottom is in, but it is interesting that we started a pump right after that sentiment, you know, would look like a bottom. So we already had PulseChain moving up, of course, even more so today. The whole way back up, it did touch a 1 point, 4 zeros and a 4. It's at 4 zeros, 3914 right now. We got PulseX back at 80% off the SAC rate of 4 zeros and a 2. Incentive up to about 190 right now. Hex has been pumping the most. I mean, since this pump commenced over this last week and then today, Hex has really been the one to steal the show. It's been a 0063 almost right now, and then eHex at 002 at the moment. So both of them, the Hex is really moving up big time here over the last few days. I mean, Hex has done literally a 2x in a week, maybe a little more than a week, but it was at 003 not long ago at all. So pretty miraculous. Like, and just a reminder, like a stark reminder for people that are in this market, like, it's down for so long. Not that we're at the bull, you know, at the top of the bull market yet. I'm not saying that, but things are down for so long. Their prices are depressed for so long that if you don't keep your head on a swivel when things start to move, if you aren't already positioned, you're good luck getting positioned, because things just start to move. So, again, not that we're at that point of the bull market yet, but I mean, you can see that happening. So there you go. Yeah, there's the green candle right there. So this is Hex on Pulse, right?
This is eHex.
Okay.
I just thought it was interesting to see these couple big green candles, and you know, it did double too. I mean, you're looking at just from September 6th. Let's just take it to today's price. You know, 105%. So more than double there as well. So it's, you know, things are looking good there. I was trying to pull up the Hex chart here and it's not letting me. So let's do it this way. This is the Hex on PulseChain price, which, you know, it's looking very similar. Very similar. They have the same structure. If you look, there we go.
There you go. I was going to say, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're very, very similar as well. So yeah, it's almost not quite doubled, but just about went from 0.0035 to 0.0062. So we've almost doubled in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. So it to your point though, yes, it doesn't take long. These things move and they get away from you, and it's why we recommend DCAing a lot to hopefully catch some of these bottom areas, because you can lose. It's amazing, what you can get at 0.0. Just remember what you get at 0.003. Every 0.003 is another X. But now when you have to do if you buy now, every 0.006 is a 2X, right? So if you buy, that much of a difference is crazy. As the prices get higher and higher, the more X's that you exponentially will get. It's just, it's weird how it works, but
yeah. And again, just to see that out of nowhere, those have been the two biggest movers here. And actually, if you want to, because I wanted to get into this. Actually, real quick, let's just pull up the Pulse chart too, since we mainly look at it as the main chart, obviously, of the ecosystem. So that is looking really good. I mean, that's the first significant kind of move up that we've seen on this chart against the dollar for a little while here. So that looks good. And then maybe if you want to, like we have been the last couple of weeks, we could pull it up against ETH as well, because that's probably starting to curl up even more rather than just flatlining. But yeah, what do you see from Pulse here? I mean, it looks more, it makes me feel more confident that was the bottom. But, when you're down here for this long, you get sick of trying to say that it was. So what do you think?
Almost seeing a little cup and handle here formation. It's, usually they round out with a little handle here. It's just it's a bullish pattern anyway. As long as we keep making higher lows. So right now our structure needs to kind of stay above this 3772 area, which will keep it bullish. If we drop back below it, then we could dip down in again. I heard some other people saying that they wanted to get it back to the 0.03 area to retest it and bounce off to see, just to see that structure hold. And that would be a much better confirmation anyway. But either way, it is looking good. And, as long as we, again, keep making higher lows, even a couple pullbacks in here aren't going to hurt anything. It just keeps it healthy and does shake out some of the excess that hasn't been yet so far.
Yeah. Do you want to pull it up against ETH real quick? Just out of curiosity, I want to see if it looks like it's coming out of the flat line a little bit here.
I got to pull it up on Dex Screener to do that. So give me 1 second.
And then we have an interesting thing too, talking about the two hexes and about parity. I think we might, I want to table that maybe for after we get a little bit deeper into the FOMC thing here. But a tweet from Johnny Chaos just the other day about the hexes and how people argue against parity, and, Richard Hart, the death tweet, obviously, of eHex months ago. And, obviously that ratio getting larger than it ever was before. I think there's a conversation to be had about the potential of parity and how parity could actually be attained again. And Johnny did bring up something really interesting in a tweet the other day. So we're going to look at that here in a bit as well. So just a teaser there. You got it?
Yeah, I think so. This is
I think that's backwards again. That says WETH/Pulse.
Right.
Yeah, just do the WPLS. No. Do the oh wait, here. If you go down, there's one. I saw one, but go ahead. Okay, yeah, that top one will work. Not now. Okay,
there it is. We're looking on the ETH side. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. All right. So yeah, if you, well, I was going to say, if you want to, we can look at it zoomed in, but I wanted you to zoom out first. Actually, that's what I like to look at. Yeah. So if you look at like back to May, I mean, we've had this just flat line here for such a long time, but look, I mean, here in September, you can see big time starting to crawl up here. So this is really more valuable than looking at the USD chart, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that, and like I said, I think on last week's show, I mean, that should bring people comfort. Like if you're looking at the USD price dropping and you're afraid of it and stuff like that, just keep looking at this chart where it had been kind of flatlining against ETH. And now as you zoom in here and start to see the moves coming up, I mean, this is definitely really, really bullish right now. So yeah, we'll see if
for sure
ETH can catch up to Bitcoin.
Yeah, it looks good. We've grown. Let me get a measurement here of this one. It just with up 38%. So
yep.
and that's
move.
Just since the beginning of this month.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's definitely a nice move. And that, I think a lot of people should be looking at that chart as well. So good stuff. I mean, we are seeing green candles everywhere in the ecosystem this week, so definitely good for sure. We will see kind of how things move off this rate hike, which rate hike. I'm used to the last 2 years. We haven't seen a rate cut now for quite some time. And really since the duration of doing this show, I mean, we've only seen rate hikes in proportions of 50 to 75 points. So it's interesting to be in this environment again. Turning our attention a little bit to that again, actually. So let's go back to the Fed's decision today, and then maybe we can get into that the hex thing here in a moment. But so we had the 50-point rate hike today. I keep saying hike. The 50-point. I'm so used to it. The 50-point cut today. Somewhat surprising, of course. The argument. Apparently, what was going on is, so we've talked about this before. So we have the session today. They're going to have one the day or two after the election is the next FOMC, and then one in December as well. So apparently the conversations that started to come up was that there's going to be a total of 75 points that they want to cut over the next two meetings, and whether to do the one that would equate to 50 now or in November. And they decided to just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and do 50 now. So the interesting thing, maybe more so than the decision to do 50, was some of Powell's speech where he emphatically said many, many times, and even when he was questioned as well, that how great of shape the economy is in. We have inflation down towards 2%, which, I mean, I can't imagine anybody actually believes. All these things about how great the economy is doing right now. He was pressed also about, are you just making this decision? Is this a political decision? It's just to save face politically, get Kamala Harris elected and things like that. And of course, he wouldn't really entertain that and danced around that question and didn't answer it dead on. But what do you make of this? I mean, because you just a couple of weeks ago were thinking that they wouldn't make any move at all. Then the majority of the market overwhelmingly was like, oh yeah, we're going to see a 25-point cut. And then only within the last week did we see this increase of the chances of 50 points. And then here we are today, and it's a 50-point rate cut. So what do you make of this in the short, mid, and long term, specifically for this market? But then, I mean, also, and how this could just affect the U.S. economy in general, because this is going to spur recession fears and stuff like that. I think we've already been in one, and they just changed the definition, a year ago or something like that. But there are negative effects of doing this at this moment in time. But then again, it's kind of a glass half full type of thing. Like there are some things within the economy that's going to hurt, but these hasty decisions by the Fed in this country with monetary policy are exactly why we're in crypto to begin with. And I think that's the bigger picture. So what do you make of this decision and how it could affect things kind of all around here?
So yeah, I've been on the 25-point side ever since the sentiment kind of went that way. So I was surprised to see the 50 points. Now I think, as I said earlier, that the 25 was kind of baked in. I think that's why you saw the reaction that you did when it happened. Short term, I think it's going to it's a bullish, it's going to provide bullish sentiment. So you're going to have green days today, tomorrow, maybe the next week or so, until it kind of evens out. Because like I said, the 25 points was kind of baked in already. So this other 25 kind of has to even itself out. Short term, I think, you're going to see some pumps, some bullish activity. And then depending on what happens at the next meeting, because there are rumors now of another 50 points by the end of the year. So we could get two 25-point hikes, or now I'm doing it too. Reductions. I think we get two more 25s throughout the end of the year. And I think it's dangerous to change it that quickly. For the longest time they stayed stagnant, waiting for the numbers. Let's wait for the numbers. And now all of a sudden they're going after it, and it just makes you kind of wonder why, right? Is it political? Is this a stunt to beef things up a little bit, to allow more money to come in, strengthen things short term? But we all know what happens after, on average 35, 40 days. You start to see the downturn of this. Historically, everything drops within, let's say an average of 45 days after a rate cut. So, that's pretty much right in line with the election. So, someone had said earlier that Powell was appointed by the Trump administration. Is that true? Do you remember
that?
I
don't think so. No, I didn't think he was. I mean, he's a Democrat, I'm pretty certain. So I don't believe so. I'll look it up while you talk. But
yeah. So they always claim, well, no, there's no political agenda here whatsoever. We're in favor of trying to just strengthen the markets overall in general, political affiliation aside. So
yeah, you're right. No, it was under the Trump administration, February 2018, actually.
Okay.
Interestingly enough. Yeah.
I thought so. So, there's that side of it too, right? These guys, so you have to remember, the government wants us to be workers, right? They don't want the middle class getting to be a higher middle class. And during COVID, that really started to happen. People ended up having a nice savings. People ended up having more money because, everything was closed down. Couldn't go out. You couldn't do anything. So therefore you had extra spending, extra savings. And I think, that took a hit. That's kind of what started all of this. The government wants us to be broke. There's no other really way to spin it. And you got to remember, even with these rates coming down, the prices, they keep saying the inflation has slowed down. Inflation has slowed down. We have to remember, though, that the prices aren't coming down. They just may not go up, right? So we are at where we're at still. The groceries are still expensive. Gas is still expensive. That can be fixed. The gas prices anyway, with some changes to where we're getting it from, right? If we start drilling domestically, then definitely we can bring those prices down quickly, which in turn should bring other things down. The cost of transportation definitely affects the pricing of a lot of our, basic needs and services, things like that. So, yeah, long term though, I do see definitely a pullback with everything. So I think by middle of next year, you're gonna start to see it. Unfortunately, that may bring people into crypto, right? Seeing everything else go down, I don't know if they're gonna be like, well, this isn't working, we got to go over here. I hope it doesn't screw up the 4-year cycle. And I don't know that this has ever coincided with that. I don't think it has. I don't think we've had to really lower rates during a crypto cycle. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. It really is.
It is. And yeah, the timeline, just trying to figure out, that's the tough thing, because everybody's already in this very small vacuum mindset of timing when it comes to crypto, which is something we try to preach against. But understandably, when prices go down 99%, or whatever it may be over the course of 4 years, you want to make it out alive, obviously, too. So I understand that. Yeah. But I think I think this and these actions by the feds have people kind of trying to figure this out even more, because they're like, okay, if we have to stay on cycle with a 4-year, or we have to stay on schedule with a 4-year cycle, that means by the end of 2025 things need to be good, but rate cuts are bearish. And what if things go down in the meantime? And but also rate cuts are going to stimulate people spending money again, and then risk on assets and stuff like that. I think, as simple jack as it may sound, the answer may still just lie in the 4-year cycle. I think that we'll still probably see things pretty much play out the way that they are going to play out, by hook or crook. However it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I think Briz kind of summed it up. I liked his comment right here. I think by mid-November, we have a mini explosion in price up, coinciding with the election. Basically, we'll have another FOMC meeting at that time as well, and we'll be 60 days into these rate cuts. Then we slow walk to the roof throughout 2025. Then we jump off the roof late 2025. So basically, I mean, that would be like identical to 2021.
Yeah,
it was late 2021 that things just, it was literally December of 21. I remember waking up to like a godlike red candle from Bitcoin and the whole market in December. So yeah, that would be very, very similar, and shows you just how compact. I mean, we're talking a year to 14 months or something like that. So yeah, what do you make of this timeline kind of Ewok?
3 years of getting kicked in the nuts, and then one good year, actually probably 8-9 months of good.
Right.
So yeah, that's what makes or breaks the crypto people, though. Like I said, for the people that have been in these cycles and seen it a couple times anyway, it makes it, you have to see it to understand it. I guess you have to experience it to know what a full bull run feels like. It just, you always have these thoughts of, well, has this ever happened before? Has there been an election during this? Has there been, whatever? And I'm sure there has been elections, things like that. But with the rates and the inflation and all the other stuff, housing markets are out of control. Prices of rent is crazy. Now they did say that could technically that'll be delayed, right? That's going to take a while to play out. Although with rates coming down, because people right now that are locked in those low rates, like if you had a loan from 6 years ago or whatever it was, you had really good rates. You had sub 3% rates. So the rates coming down will trigger people to want to sell and buy another one, right? So it's just, it's going to take time to play out, obviously, as all these things do. But I do see a short-term pullback. Historically, it says it's going to happen. So that's kind of, we're just playing on history here.
Yeah, that's really it. And again, there's always going to be things that are precedents and new environments and stuff like that. And the meme of this time's different, this time's going to be different, and all that stuff. I mean, there is something to be said for the Bitcoin cycle just continuing. You know what I mean? And we understand that there's usually going to be diminished gains, and we'll see where Bitcoin does ultimately go here as we sit with it at 60K and an all-time high of 73, 74K earlier this year. But I think the big picture, there's going to be a lot of reactions to all this stuff today. There's a lot of stuff being said on Twitter, whether it's just from like TradFi people or people that are directly in crypto. The one thing to remember, and this is why we always I like what Frank Molina espouses on his channel and when he tweets and when we have him on our show, is that what we do know, like we said earlier, is this country is going to continue to print money like mad. The dollar is dying, which is the entire reason that we're in crypto to begin with. So sometimes psychologically, I think you have to zoom out and realize those facts a little bit. Not just zoom out time frame wise, but realize like why you're even in the vehicle, the investment vehicle to begin with. And it's because of the fact that we know that the dollar is just going to be printed into infinity. And even, if you do the normal thing, the stuff that I used to do and swear by when I would go to like Boglehead forums and was invested in Vanguard and all that kind of stuff. It's like index funds, 90% stocks, 10% bought, everybody, just the thing that you were told since the beginning of time, you're really not even beating inflation at the end of the day. I mean, you're really just kind of keeping pace with it, with the returns that you get there. So, that's why we're all here to begin with. So I think people need to remember that in tumultuous kind of times like this. Like, it helps you remember why you're here to begin with, so.
And time is the biggest thing. I mean, don't forget that time is the factor that we, it's hard to replicate. It's hard to assimilate, but it is why we're here. And over time, these assets have done extremely well. There's no reason why they shouldn't continue to do so. It's just a matter of sticking it out and having faith.
I think that you make a great point that time is one of the hardest things. Like price going down is obviously going to scare like the shit out of people and they will panic and stuff like that. But time really, really does. You combine minus 95% prices with waiting 3 years. I mean, people, been there, done that. But I mean, it's,
right
it's
here.
one of those things that,
steel balls and diamond hands.
Bingo. There you go. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, cool. So I think that pretty much covers that. Did you have any final thoughts on the FOMC stuff, Ewok?
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty good. Okay. Again, just got to wait and see what happens and see if history plays out, like it says it's going to.
Yeah. We got an interesting few months here. We've been saying it all along, and here's one of the first shoes to drop. So we've got that in our past now. So if you guys are here and enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor, hit the like to support Real DeFi and support the channel. We appreciate you guys. Shout out Checks My Pulse, Briz, of course, NJ Dub, Optimality, Addy Weo, can't quite make that out. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's move on to this. So this is something that happened last week. The SEC stepping in their own shit. Stop me if you've heard this story before, but a very interesting thing that came out last week. So the SEC settled with eToro for crypto sales for $1.5 million, which is a pretty paltry amount. Richard Hart tweeted not long after it because he realized the fact that the SEC is continuing to pick winners and losers, which is what they've done. When they want to file lawsuits against people, it's kind of like sling a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. And then also, maybe I won't go after these guys. Maybe I will go after these guys. It depends on who I want to shake down for money or not, really. That's kind of how the SEC rolls. And we'll look at Richard Hart's tweet. Appreciate the super chat, DJ Moon Boy. We will get there in just a second. Appreciate you for sure. Let's look at Richard's tweet. So I think you've got it up there. So in response to this, and we have a couple, this is really good because this actually affects the corrupt SEC lawsuit against Richard Hart as well. So we're going to get into that because Nuclear Herbs, famous PulseChain community attorney, retired, had some thoughts on this as well. So Richard said, did the SEC just choose ETH, BTC, and BCH as winners? Did they just choose technology for you? How's forcing the sale of some things for other things and removing markets helping create fair, orderly, or efficient markets? The SEC just announced a settlement with a company. They'll pay a $1.5 million fine and delist, send back to users, and after 187 days, sell all the coins, unless they are Ethereum, Bitcoin, or Bitcoin Cash. They don't say in the press release or the cease and desist which the other coins are. Why don't they say what the other coins are? I'm not a lawyer, and this is not advice. Here's some random thoughts. The DEA could pretend coins are drugs and arrest everyone for drugs. The ATF could pretend coins are guns and arrest everyone for guns. The SEC could pretend coins are securities. Okay, this is longer than I thought. I've been told that the SEC isn't supposed to choose winners and losers, and that they're not supposed to do malicious prosecution, that they're technology neutral, that they facilitate capital formation. I believe they might also take oaths to uphold the Constitution, which it seems they might want to upload it somewhere too. They might not understand what the Constitution guarantees us in right to association, speech, assembly, contract, equal protection as blockchain speakers. Other random thoughts: arbitrary and capricious, void for vagueness, fair notice, taking for regulatory taking. Apparently, the government isn't allowed to just take your things or their value without just compensation. Anyway, the SEC published the cease and desist in a press release on the settlement. I don't actually see the real settlement document, so who knows? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe the SEC will be more clear and point out specifically which coins they're calling certain crypto assets as securities. That's going to be the main sticking point, that phrase here, crypto asset securities, in their press release. Maybe it's arbitrary, maybe it's capricious. Also, I've never liked eToro because the majority of people that use them lose money, or at least they say they did at the top of their own homepage, which said something like 65% of users of the service lose money. Now I think it says something weaker. I'm not a fan of trading in general. So the point is the SEC kind of going back against what they have talked about in the past, using the phrase certain crypto assets as securities, and then they basically choose which ones are okay and which ones aren't here, and settling in this lawsuit. So before we look at the nuclear herb stuff, because again, this actually directly spills over into the lawsuit against Richard Hart because they use that terminology in their complaint. But what do you think about RH's stuff here about the eToro and SEC thing?
Well, he's always been anti eToro. It's been one of the things, if you listen to his old streams, he talks about it all the time, and the warning that they said 65% of people lose money using this service. And, he's always said, I'm willing to bet the other 35 don't make up for near what the 65% are losing. So he's always been very against trading against these platforms. And yeah, I mean, he makes a great point about how they aren't supposed to even be in the position to do this, right? They're not supposed to be the prosecution. They are neutral, or so they say. So yeah, he makes a good point. And again, I'm sure he's in communication with his lawyers all the time, because he does his research. I'm sure they do as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's there's plenty of pages to this. It goes on and on. But yeah, how are they supposed to be deciding without letting us know first? It just doesn't. Again, it points out to the lack of clarity that the SEC has in general, and has always been that way. They don't want to rule on anything. They just want to. Somebody called it the other day. I forget who I was listening to, but they called it whack-a-mole prosecution. You know what I mean? It's just that's how they operate. So yeah, I completely agree with them.
And it's funny that Richard didn't, I don't know, I didn't really look into the rest of his thread there, but he didn't really bring up the fact that this terminology has actually been used in their complaint against him and his firms and companies, PulseX, and Hex. So if you want to bring up whichever nuclear herbs tweet you want to start with, I think it might make sense for us to go to the one that says, here's the SEC in their response brief filed 2 weeks ago, the one that starts that way, if you happen to see it. You already got it? Got it. Okay. So he says, here's the SEC in their response brief filed 2 weeks ago against Richard Hart. I'm sure his lawyers have questions, given that the SEC just admitted in the eToro case the term crypto asset securities is entirely made up, and that they regret any confusion that may have caused from their use of their completely made up term. That should be fun to defend in October's hearing. So there's one thing he says. You can see he's got it highlighted in the pictures that they use that term throughout the complaint. It says defendants engaged in unregistered offers and sales of securities in the form of crypto asset securities. And another section here, crypto asset security offerings at issue here, all for the purpose of promoting the crypto asset securities. There's another occasion, 3, 4. I mean, it's all through the 27-page complaint. So you can see that if you do want to go to one of the other tweets, and then I can get your thoughts on these two, Ewok. If you want to go to the October 24th hearing, should be that one. You happen to see that? Got it. Here. Cool. All right. So should be more interesting given the SEC's latest revelation. Very curious as to how Richard's attorneys decide to address this, given that the SEC's entire complaint is built on the foundation that Hex, Pulse, and PulseX are crypto asset securities, a term that the SEC now regrets using because it causes confusion and doesn't actually mean anything. And then he has it highlighted throughout the top of the complaint right there. So again, yeah, I want to know what Richard Hart's attorneys would say about this, because they seem to be talking out of both sides of their mouth at this point. And then the final herbs tweet is the one that goes, the SEC regrets using the made-up term crypto asset security. Wasn't expecting to wake up to this. I understand this is from their latest amended complaint versus Binance. That footnote is incredible. Read it again. So they did come out and amend some things. So here's Paul Grewal. I think, is he from like Coinbase? Yeah. He said the SEC regrets any confusion it may have invited by it's convenient by falsely and repeatedly stating that tokens themselves are securities. This is the remarkable representation in footnote 6 of the SEC's amended complaint against Binance. I hope whoever that is getting some good sleep tonight. His head's about to explode when he wakes up and sees this. And they say, as the court noted and as the SEC reiterates with its use of the term crypto asset securities, the SEC is not referring to the crypto asset itself as a security, rather as the SEC has consistently maintained since the very first crypto asset Howey case, the SEC litigated the term as a shorthand. Okay, so they're backpedaling it and calling it a shorthand now.
Yeah.
While helpful as a shorthand reference, the security in this case is not simply the crypto asset, which is little more than alphanumeric cryptographic sequence, blah, blah, blah. So essentially they're trying to say that this term that they were using isn't what they actually meant, and it was just shorthand, and just, forget about it all. Okay, here's they have it all zoomed in. Let's see here. Defendants appear to argue that even if the 10 crypto assets were offered and sold as securities during the ICOs, they do not remain securities in perpetuity. The SEC is not advancing this argument. The SEC's allegations with respect to the 10 crypto assets at issue in secondary markets are that their promotions and economic realities have not changed in any meaningful way under Howey, such as they continue to be offered and sold as investment contracts. So long story short, I mean, they are going back on a term that they've used for a very long time and just saying it was shorthand and, just forget about it. You guys read it wrong. It wasn't our fault, essentially. So when you kind of think of the Ewok, or what do you make of?
No, totally. They're backpedaling essentially because it is very misleading, right? You hear crypto asset security, the first thing a judge or anybody is going to think is that it's already been deemed a security.
Right.
It's the first thing you think of. That's what, the normal thought process goes through. So, it's very shady, very underhanded of them. And I'm glad it came up now. It's going to make for a very interesting day in court, I think, on October 24th or whatever day that is. Because here it is, case law that they've already said, sorry, that's not really what we meant. Well, now you got to rewrite your whole complaint.
Which you can't do.
Which you can't do.
They can do really now.
No, they can't. They can't.
Yeah.
So, now it's just another point for the RH lawyers to make to the judge to say, look, these guys, this is another reason why this should probably be dismissed, because they're calling it a security. It's not a security. Now they've gone back on their own terminology that they've been using left and right. It just doesn't make sense. So, I completely agree with this. I think it's going to be a very interesting turn of events.
I do wonder what I wonder for RH's attorneys, and we did see it's Michael Liftick, I think, speak today in front of Congress, which is one of Richard's attorneys from I can't remember the name of the firm, but he was very well spoken just in his 5 minutes or so today that I saw. I know you were watching it too, and I feel extremely confident. Like, to actually see the guy on camera and hear him talk crypto, it made me feel even more confident than I already am in what they're doing for Richard. But it does make me wonder, though, because mainly the purpose of the October 24th is the oral arguments on why this should be dismissed, and they're mainly going to be focusing on the jurisdiction thing, like what they want to. They are starting with that because, just to begin with, they don't even have jurisdiction. But I think Nuclear Herbs has said in the past that they could still, with like this crypto asset securities thing or anything else that they see that is just fraud, anything wrong with the complaint that the SEC brought forward, his attorneys could still kind of put hints out there and show, like, do you really want to keep coming at us? Because here's a couple of clues of where this is going to go. Like, this is where we're going to take it, and the arguments that we have ready for you. I mean, they're not going to, I don't know that can be part of their, why they'll try to dismiss it, because they're really honing in on the jurisdiction piece. But just to show them, like, here's how bad you guys effed up, and here's the direction we're going to take it, I think that's...
I mean, I think what they'll do is, DJ Moonboy said it right there. Jurisdiction needs to be established first and foremost. But I think they're going to be able to work this also into the conversation and say, look, Judge, first of all, there is no jurisdiction. There shouldn't be jurisdiction because X, Y, and Z, this is why. And on top of that, you've got them saying things like this that are very, very misleading, and then they have to come in and backtrack it on another case. So therefore, all of the cases that they used, essentially mean nothing. Their words are, now they're having to be thrown out, or not thrown out, but taken a completely different way. So yeah, I think they probably will work that in somehow. But no, they do need to establish jurisdiction first and foremost. That's the first, that was the first argument of it, but they've got others.
Right. But yeah, and this is certainly bullish for the case overall. I mean, I am just going to, I guess, for my own, psyche and just for planning for this whole potential trial, I'm just assuming that the motion to dismiss will not be granted, even though there is a higher likelihood of this one being granted than most because of some of the reasons that we've talked about and how much the SEC kind of grossly fudged the jurisdiction issue here. And Nuclear Herbs has given it maybe like 3 times higher of a chance of being approved as to be dismissed than most motions to dismiss.
Right.
That said, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would rather psychologically prepare for that not to happen and then for it to go for a trial, just so I know kind of the worst case scenario where it's going to go. And even then, I think that all his attorneys are extremely prepared, and I think that they will still come out on top. So,
yeah.
So
what I was going to say is not only is the jurisdiction a mess, the accusations are also a mess because they said that he spent money that they have really no proof of him spending on goods and things like that. They don't have proof where that money came from. It did come from the sacrifice wallets. We know that. So that's wrong. I mean, there's just so many things they could get down the list of to say, seriously, do you want to continue this? I mean, jurisdiction is your way out, right? I mean, it's kind of just to throw this away. But if you're not going to give us that, well, do they come at them then with the plan of attack? If they don't, I don't know. They may keep that kind of hidden up their sleeve to play that card later, kind of thing. I don't know. True. So you don't want to give them too much of what you're going to come at them with if it's not dismissed. But at the same time, you kind of need to make the judge aware that this is wrong from here, 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 and here, which they pretty much did in their, in their argument anyway. Right. So, I mean, it's not hidden anymore. The judge knows, and if she's read through the wording of it, that they're wrong on a lot of counts, but they don't have to be right, unfortunately, to have a trial. That's the unfortunate part. They just have to kind of make it sound reasonably good.
Yeah, anybody can sue anybody, so keep that in mind. And again, that is Thursday, October the 24th. I forget the time, like 10:30 a.m. or something like that. Is when that begins. I know many people have talked about making the trip. I'm pretty sure, as far as people that are YouTube facing, I think Corey Costa may be going since he's already up that way anyway. Corey Geary coming up from Puerto Rico supposedly is going to make the trip. I think I heard Matt Crypto Coffee, which he's actually in Puerto Rico too now. I forget. Yep. I think he's going to be making the trip. So, we're going to have some really good representation there. And we've talked about this before. Like anybody that is going to make the trip and go, it is a courtroom. So dress at least business casual, shut your mouth, sit down, and enjoy quietly the show. That's what I would recommend. Yep. Yeah. Do you have anything to add there, Ewok?
Well, yeah. I mean, so the Pulse, I forget who it is, RG's group. They're planning something afterwards too. So if you are going, and you want to reach out to them to get the specifics on the after party or whatever it is that they're having, the dinner or the just the get together afterwards. That way you can spend the day with some Hexicans that you may know from online or have met before, possibly.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. I can't wait to see. I'm sure we'll see some videos, maybe of like outside the courtroom or how the event goes down. But that'll be an interesting time for sure. A little over a month away. So, yeah, let's transition to something else. I'll take a look at our poll question first. But if you guys are still here and enjoying the show, do us a favor, hit the like button. We appreciate you being here. It helps boost the signal for Real DeFi and the channel. So thank you guys for doing that. We said, did the Fed do the right thing by cutting interest rates by 50 points today? 71% now say yes. So the overwhelming majority are like, yeah, they did the right thing, versus maybe 25 points really would be the other thing you would be thinking. So most of the people think that they did do the right thing. So I know that is a bit of a loaded question because there's a lot of different angles and takes that you could have on it, but overwhelmingly people think that they did the right thing. So if it eventually pumps crypto even higher, I'm all for it. And I think it may.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Just want to give a shout out again. I know you brought it up, DGen Moonboy. Thanks for the 1999 super chat. Greatest energy tonight, guys. Being an EHEX OG Ewok, is there a price for EHEX where you shave your beard? He really wants me to shave my beard. Now, does that mean if I shave it, I can't grow it back afterwards? Because I've already done that once, right? When
you weren't like barefaced though. I mean, you still had a beard.
I barely. I took the clippers the whole way down to skin. So
I don't think it was the whole way down, but
yeah,
man, I keep forgetting you did that on the show. I keep forgetting that. I totally forgot.
I took it off completely. I mean, I had a shadow, but it was down. It was I didn't get a razor out and shave, but I DJ Moonboy, I would say I will do it again at $1. I'll even say $1 combined for the two.
Hopefully that's a year away.
I will shave it again. So
there we go.
I'm lazy. I don't covet the beard. I'm just lazy.
Well, you've had it for so long now. You've had it for so long that it's weird to me if you trim it down, actually. I think it's kind of weird, And yours is, even though it's long, it's still well kept, though, because there's a lot of guys that do the big beard thing where it's like you actually are starting to just look like a hobo. Like you actually look, you have to keep it still tight, nice and tight.
Yeah, I do trim it. I do groom it and maintain it and things like that. So it's not because it would be out to here if I didn't do that.
If you just let it go.
Yeah.
Got to take the clippers to it.
Yep. So
okay. Well, we will look forward to a beard altering live on air here at some point, hopefully. Let's get over to this. We need to talk about this PLUSD thing. So I don't know a lot about it. I know you know more than I do, but it looks like it essentially rugged or was hacked. The official Twitter account of it said the other day. If you even want to bring up the chart to show it and kind of educate us on what happened here. I know that there are, especially with the PulseChain, there's a lot of narratives around a lot of different stable coins and a lot of stable coin things happening. Obviously, PDAI is the main thing we're talking about. The copy of DAI on PulseChain that has just melted faces thus far and figures to continue to do so, and one of the biggest narratives on PulseChain. But what was PLUSD, Ewok, and can you kind of go over what happened here? Because they did say themselves that they have been hacked, asking people to do on-chain analysis to help them out, interestingly enough. And, I know you wanted to give a caution to people, a reminder to be careful of the things that you're investing in as the bull market kind of rages on here, because there's going to be many, many things. I know right now we're in this little depression since the beginning of August where every price of everything is butchered. But when things start flying again, like they were kind of the first half of 2024, you're going to want to just grab everything that moves by you, basically. So yeah, what do you have to tell us about this, Ewok?
So I'm looking up on Dex Screener for PLUSD, and it's gone.
PULSD.
Yeah.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Let me see here.
Yeah, it's gone.
I'm not seeing it either. Yeah, you're right.
So anyway, what it was essentially the equivalent of liquid loans. It was a liquidity fork that was created by some of the community members. Now, if you remember when Liquid Loans launched, they had some issues with the coding. It took them a long time to change it.
I think I found it, by the way. Not to sorry to interrupt you, but I think I
That's
found
okay.
it. Yeah, I think it's just under LUSD, maybe.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because you wouldn't put the P in there, yeah.
Right. LUSD. Yeah, there it is. All right. So, well, that's not.
I'm looking at one that looks like it definitely rugged, so I'm pretty sure this is it.
Okay, I think I got the wrong one then.
I'm sending it to you right now.
There it is. It's on. Either way. So, whoops. Let's pull this down. We did. So when Liquid Loans was created, it took them quite some time to get things right because of the oracle that it needs to base the price. It's a loan protocol essentially, the same as Liquid Loans, but they left a few things that were, it wasn't done by professional coders. From what I understand. Yeah, so here's the share this and we'll bring it up. But
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently the protocol itself was exploited, taken advantage of, where people were just minting all of the LUSD token because they were exploiting the contract. There was a portion of it that was not fixed because it kept referring to Ethereum's price. And because Ethereum and PulseChain are obviously such different prices, there were arbitrage opportunities and the way you could exploit it to essentially take advantage of the things that Liquid Loans fixed, but these guys didn't, unfortunately. Not so much of how it happened or what, but just it was kind of more the segue of the warning of being careful what you're getting into. You want to make sure that these contracts are solid, that they've been audited. There was no audit on this either, as far as I know. The contract was never audited, never got second opinions. There were red flags that were never fixed. It's dangerous. It's one of the things why I've always said I go back to Hex, and we know it was audited twice for security. It was audited once for economics. So there was 3 audits done on it. It was locked. We've had 4 years of almost 5 years now of pretty flawless operations. Even Richard, if he wanted to change it, he couldn't. So, again, it's just a warning because of where we're at in this cycle. There are going to be things that pop up left and right as this community grows, because it will. There will be new people coming in. And you have to remember that a percentage of those people are going to be here to try and separate you from your money. So just be extremely careful moving forward. If you're going to get involved with something, do it with a wallet that you're not, that doesn't have your other assets in it. Do it with a very small amount of money. Make sure you have people that have audited these contracts and looked at them. There's so many things that are going to happen in the next 6 months, probably, as markets turn around, as the community size grows, and there becomes targets, right? You're going to have people that have become extremely wealthy. And, you know, you want to protect it at all costs. So it's just another warning to people to be extremely careful and you know, stick to what you know is good. That's pretty much the warning. So
Definitely. Side note, we are knocking on the door of a penny combined hex as we speak. Things are pumping big time. I think I just saw $500,000 was bridged in, and we got things pumping even more than when we started the show. So let's go. Big time pump tonight. We usually got a dip on our show. You know what I mean? What is with this pump? Crazy. The FOMC pump. So that is sweet. But yeah, you are totally right. And people need to understand what it is they're getting invested in. Like some of these short-term things, like even last year when people bought the top of PDI, you know, at that time, obviously I'm not saying that it's, you know, not going to surpass it or anything like that. But when people bought the top of PDI last year, people just kind of get into things when they see green candles. They're obviously PTGC, one thing that's happening with right now. I know K4K is all over that and the whole alien thing and UFO and all that. Not saying that it's not going to continue to do well or anything, but it's at an all-time high and all these people are coming out of the woodwork, of course. So wouldn't be buying that right now. But if you want to, at least understand what you're getting into. That's really the main thing, because that's going to what makes you stay in it when something does happen or the prices come down. Obviously, I don't know that you're going to see a rug like this on something. Maybe you will in something that you have just like a lottery ticket in or something like that. But of course, in your core stuff, you want to make sure that you have conviction. So, and again, we saw stuff flying in this bull market the first half of 2024 that made it really easy to buy some of these like meme coins, altcoins, stuff like that. In August, everything got butchered. So, of course, that sentiment kind of came down. But we're going to see it ratcheted up again, probably within the next couple of months and heading into 2025 here. So, yeah, you just got to keep your head on a swivel with that. And if you're going to take a risk on something, just do it with a very small portion of your portfolio. It's too easy to get carried away. I know it's tough to get those emotions right, but that's why you want to have an investment thesis that you actually are, you know, have written down somewhere, or at least have visualized whatever it is, so you don't over leverage yourself with one of these type of things. So yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, the pumpage continues on PulseChain. We're looking really, really good.
I put the 5-minute chart on for everybody's viewing pleasure here beside us.
There you go.
See if we get another pump.
Yeah. Yeah, looking real good. Excellent. So we got Hex at 9/10 of a penny, almost at a penny. We got Pulse at 40.50, 4 zeros and a 405. Pulse X 4 zeros 2-1. Nice to see some green candles again. Incentive token just at about $2 again now. So looking really good. We'll just sit through this and enjoy. It's nice to, you know, I'm not necessarily stressing about like how soon can my fiat get over there to DCA these. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of the DCAs I've put in. So kind of nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I tell you what, I don't want to get into the Hex parity thing from Johnny because I want to have a really good long conversation on that. And frankly, we can do that any week, I feel. So let's wrap up with this. PulseX had yet another update, pulsex.com, another update today. It's seemingly 1 or 2 a week we've been getting here for PulseX. We just got versions 7, 8, and 9 here over the last couple of weeks. And now we're at 1.1, I think it is, that we just saw today. Now, admittedly, both of us kind of glanced at it before the show started. I couldn't discern anything huge that maybe changed. Probably have to get into the weeds to figure that out. But more importantly, one of the biggest changes that did happen on one of these latest updates was the stable coin pools. That's a huge thing that was introduced a couple of weeks ago, where you can go in, add liquidity for all the major stable coins like USDC, Tether, DAI, however you want to do it, and earn yield, obviously, on that. And you figure that that's going to be something maybe for whales, you know, and that's kind of the bullish thing about that being added now, is maybe whales with a bunch of stable coins can come in, start earning some really nice yield off of that for wanting to deploy whenever it is they want to, maybe to buy some of the PulseChain ecosystem, obviously. So we talked about this with Crispy Man a couple of weeks ago, and he kind of was doing a little demo with himself, just putting like, I think he literally had like $5-10 in or something, he was saying, just to see how it works, which is always a good practice. But you also, Ewok, have put in a little bit, and you've been monitoring kind of what's going on with that. And I think that's really valuable for people to see, because you can really earn yield that's absolutely insane on the value of USD, basically just on your stables, that nowhere is it available in a traditional, you know, high yield savings account or whatever else. So Tell us a little bit about if you want to even go to. Oh, you're already there. Keep doing. You're on top of it tonight. But if you even want to show kind of like how you would do it and let everybody know how you've been earning this yield through the stablecoin pools here.
Yeah. So obviously now is not the time to be sitting in stable coins, but
Right.
I did want to mess around with it a little bit. So I put, a small amount in there. And my biggest question, and I started asking around, I think the best answer I got was from Axis. Reached out to him and he said, I think it's just compounded back in. So whatever yield you're making is compounded back in. You don't really see it until you remove the liquidity. But to your point, yes, it's a fantastic way to earn yield because the one thing you don't ever have to worry about is impermanent loss, right? All your coins are pegged to $1. So essentially, you're just getting swap fees from all three of those tokens, the stable from it's going to make me connect my wallet. Well, that's okay. I can connect this one on this computer. So while I'm doing that,
I hate it when it does that. Yeah.
I just wanted to look at it. I might have a tiny bit in here, but yeah. So I mean, you've got pooled USDT, USDC, and pooled DAI, and then it tells you, you enter. You only have to throw one thing in, and it will technically rebalance it for you. You don't really have to do anything. Throw DAI in, throw some USDC in, and let it kind of do its own thing. The next day, you'll see it probably change between whatever positions that you had. But I did start tracking it because I did go back on the blockchain. I looked at the transaction because I forgot exactly how much it was. And, I have a very, very small, a 0.0 something percent of the entire pool. So it's less than $200.
Right.
But within that 10, 11 days, whatever it was, I've earned like $1.50 just in fees. So I can imagine if I had a couple $1,000s in there, what you would earn. So, it is one of the things that I wanted to play around with so that when later I do decide to take some profits at the top of the cycle, it's a good place to park money. The last thing you want to do is pull it out completely out of the system. Why not earn some yield on it while you have it there? So, I wanted to kind of get the lay of the land now before that time came, see how it worked and all of that good stuff. So that's why I did that. Now I don't see anything really that different. I do see some toggles from the info here where it was saying like these transactions. I don't remember these being here. Swaps, adds, removes. I think that's all new. And then this is all transactions. So I think that might be one of the new additions. If you're really interested in what they did add, you can go to the GitLab and look for the different updates. I'm sure it'll list what was added, but it's looking good. Everything's pretty crisp, clear. The exchange is all your logos are in here. I don't see any that don't have a logo anymore, so that's been pretty cool. Yeah, it's looking good, and it's running smoothly as far as that goes. So
Yeah, and I don't think you can say enough about that stablecoin yield. I mean, like you said to me before the show, it's not like you can get that anywhere else, in IRL, or with your fiat and banks or anything like that. So, and a good practice too. Yeah. If you are at some point, actually, it's hard to fathom because we've been down only for so long. But if you are ever DCAing out of the market and getting into stables while you kind of wait for, the whole thing to be over, or maybe if you're just selling in waves or something like that, parking some of that cash there and just letting the yield pour in for those stables is such a great tool to have right there on the blockchain you're already familiar with. Easy to accessible, totally DeFi.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for anything better, I think. So definitely awesome. Yeah. So yeah, appreciate you sharing that, Ewok. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up. Again, we do have another real nice topic that I do want to push for another week because I want to have a long conversation on it. And really, it's we can always talk about it, but that'll be about the hex parity stuff. So appreciate all you guys in the chat tonight. Really active chat. We got green candles everywhere. Who knows what we'll wake up to tomorrow? Maybe a 10% smack back down. Who knows? We're used to that. So we'll kind of wait and see. Ewok, did you have any kind of final thoughts for this evening?
I don't think so. We covered pretty much everything that I had written down and wanted to go over. Yeah, just loving the sentiment, loving the green candles. People are in a better mood. You can tell, you know, you said about it as well. You know, you clip up the videos and release them throughout the week. And I just wanted to have you noticed any more of the negative comments on the on them. It's been pretty good, right? I mean,
totally turned around. I mean, yep. It was so palpable. I mean, obviously I have confirmation bias now, but it was so palpable a week or two ago when we were there was that 1 week where I have never seen so many negative comments on every single one of our videos. Like, and it wasn't just, and I did see it wasn't just us. I know you saw stuff on Twitter too, but like Crypto Coffee, I saw was dealing with it in his live chats and stuff like that. And again, this is a guy who's dedicated 4 or 5 years to this at this point, is very well known. He has about 40,000 subs at this point, liked by pretty much everybody. And he's got like all these trolls and stuff in his chat. And I was just like, man, this is going too far. Like if we were making consistent new lows and it was heading even further down, that's what that sentiment felt like. But to me, it was like, so far we're just kind of confirming that we're double bottoming here. And you guys are acting like it's the absolute end of the world. So sure enough, here we are 2 weeks later, and we're up off those prices and people are in a better mood right now. So we'll see.
Yep. You know, I don't know if you wanted to, actually, there is one thing that I wanted to say. And, you know, there was a video that was released with attacking some people in the community. And, you know, like her or not, KDP has been a cheerleader for this whole ecosystem since the beginning, through the ups and downs. And I just hate when people like that get attacked. And, you know, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. I think people do things for attention, and they don't care what the ramifications are for other people. And, you know, we see it all the time. We see, you know, the positivity, the RH, I'm behind this system 100%. I've never seen negative comments from her about this ecosystem. I don't think ever. And it's just,
do you count the Tang gang? I know she's gone back on them a couple times.
Well, now, so, you know, she supported them and then she didn't support them, but hey, that's her right, you know. But as far as the RH ecosystem goes, I don't think I've ever seen a bearish post that I think things are going to go down. I think this isn't looking good or whatever. You know, she's been affiliated with some projects along the way. I know she was part of the one group there at the beginning and then kind of fell away from them too. So, but either way, my point is I hate to see people like that have been nothing but support to the whole ecosystem get attacked like that. I just, you know, I don't say much on Twitter. I don't get involved in a lot of the drama. I do read from afar. I see a lot of things. And I just don't say anything because the positivity isn't there. You know, it still lacks the way that I try to live my life. And as if I don't have anything nice to say, I try not to say anything, right? So anyway, I just wanted to bring it up and say that I don't think it's right. I don't agree with any of it. And, you know, I don't think people should be unfairly accused of things with very little proof. That person is a clout chaser anyway. I know a lot of things are done for attention. And apparently I went to look, and I've been blocked by that person too, which I have no idea why. So it's
there are,
just,
yeah.
it's interesting to me that anyway, go ahead.
Well, there are some people, and yeah, I have the dude muted who you're talking about here. But yeah, like there are some people that, I mean, I could tell with him like day one, it was 100% like I want to stir up some drama, and like I just when there
Yeah.
is money to be made and so many things to pay attention in crypto, and like we're in this bull market and stuff like that, I just do not care about any of the drama stuff. I mean, I do in the way that like, oh, Tang Gang and B Roots hate each other, and like P-Dye, you know, Atropa ecosystem versus Tang Gang. That's cool. I'm glad that we have that kind of
that's entertainment.
It is entertainment, but the word I'm looking at, like polarization, like on the blockchain.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have something like that. Two really strong communities, but like just some of the like digging up, like people that are really, you can tell people who like need the drama in their life because there is no life there. I just don't have time for that. I don't care about it. And that video that was released, I honestly could have cared less about, frankly.
Well, yeah, I didn't either. And like I said, I had him muted too. Ever since that very first thing that was going around about him that came out was that white people should all be killed or something like. I'm like, whoa, dude, where is this coming from? And from there on, I just muted him because I saw that too. I just was like, this is somebody that's fueled on drama, trying to get clicks and views, and that's what it was all about. And I muted him, but yeah, I went to look today, and I'm like, now I'm blocked. So I don't even know what I said or did, but either way, my feelings are not hurt. I could care less. I just
you're talking about it an awful lot. You got to get yourself back in his good graces.
I don't like to see people unfairly attacked, especially ones that have been nothing but,
especially ones that look like KDP. That's what you're not saying here. So
okay. that doesn't hurt anything either, right?
But you didn't mention anybody else. I'm just saying there's been some other ugly male cheerleaders that maybe could get some attention here too. But I digress. No, I'm just messing with you. But no, I agree on KDP. Like, yeah, she's been wishy-washy on some stuff here and there, but you're right. In terms of her undying support for the ecosystem, definitely not. So yeah, I am with you there.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all.
I think
that's all.
Yeah, that's all. I think that's a good note to wrap up on. We appreciate all you guys being here tonight. DJ Moon Boy, thank you for the super chat earlier. Optimality, thank you. I don't remember seeing your name before, so I appreciate you being here tonight. Checks my pulse, of course. Briz was here earlier. Blue Diesel, haven't seen you in a while, but I remember your name, so welcome back. NJ Dub. Yeah, a lot of you here tonight. Michelle, appreciate you. Thank you all for being here. We do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back at the same time, same channel next week. I'm sure we're going to have new drama and new fun crypto stuff to talk about. Hopefully the green candles continue. So for Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boy Crypto right here on the Creed of Crypto live stream. See you guys.